Hello again, and welcome back to M&A Ambassadors, another episode of the USP Becoming the Ultimate Sales Professional. Now, in the last few episodes, we talked about the psychology of the buyers and the sellers and how you can approach them and the adjustments you need to make. I'd like to start another mini-series, if you will, on objection handling. So for the first episode, I'd like to discuss what actually is an objection and what's the psychology behind objecting. Why does the client really raise these concerns? In the coming episodes, we'll look at multiple techniques on how to handle objections, price objections, payment plan objections, completion timelines, guaranteed returns, market-related objections. So what is an objection? Now, a lot of times when I ask people to define an objection, particularly in training, I hear answers like it is a resistance. It could be a mental block that the client has got. Or they will tell you things like a reason not to buy, an excuse. Now, when you look at the nature of all of these explanations, you'll see they're all negative. In fact, none of them are true about objections. Objections, real, genuine objections, are actually positive. They're never negative. So, what is the reason we would look at an objection as being objective and positive and helping us to move towards closing the deal? You see, when someone has made up their mind that they are not going to go ahead with the deal, they're not going to spend their time getting into a verbal tennis match with you. We have better things to do with our time than to discuss something when I've decided not to go for it. So when people have made that decision, what they will normally resort to are excuses. They may raise perceptions, things that they are hearing in the market, but those are not objections. An objection is actually an opportunity that the client is giving you to do three things. First, he's giving you the opportunity to change his mindset, how he's thinking in that moment, to close the deal, second, and third, to start long-term business relationship. So for example, when a client tells you, I think the price is too high, what is he really saying? All he's telling you is, you haven't shown me why I should put this kind of money into this type of a property. That's all he's saying. If he says, I'm not convinced that this community will generate those kind of returns, he's simply saying, listen, I haven't yet seen or understood why this community actually has the potential to give me those kind of returns. So it's just a request for additional information, for clarification, for presenting things probably with facts that you can support with tangible evidence. So it's actually a positive thing. They're giving you the opportunity. It's also a sign of interest. People who have decided not to buy will just not object. It's a sign of interest that they are listening to what you're saying and they're actually evaluating it, and then they're raising a concern because maybe they heard something. Maybe they've experienced something in the past, and what you are saying at this point in time doesn't match what they have heard or experienced. So all they're doing is, after listening to you, which is a good thing, they're telling you that doesn't make sense. What about? And they raise a concern. So all we need to do is be open to these objections and concerns and then handle it. If you can take care of the objection, your client is one step closer to actually making the deal with you. So why do people actually object? There are many reasons for this. The first is natural unconscious pattern. We all do that. None of us accept the first given price at face value. We're always going to negotiate. Our brains are wired to protect us. We need to feel that we're getting away with something. So it's just a natural historical pattern that people have. They haven't even thought through the objection, but they'll just come up with a resistance immediately. So we don't need to actually be taken aback when a person raises that objection. The second reason is a serious concern. It's a lack of rapport and building trust. A lot of salespeople do not take the time to build the trust early on in the selling process. So when you reach the point where they're raising objections, clients are not fully convinced about you and they don't want to accept your answers as being credible. Please do not ever shortcut the process to building rapport. Let me ask you this. How many of you trust salespeople? You know the answer, right? We don't trust salespeople. Now, if we who are in sales don't trust salespeople, I think it's okay for a client to feel the same way. Now, the third reason, very, very important. They cannot see the fit or the value of the solution that you have provided to their need. We call it the immediacy effect, POI versus ROI. Now, what does this stand for? ROI, everybody understands, return on investment. POI is the price of the investment. You see, the challenge in real estate, particularly if you're in off-plan, you're investing money into something that will be handed over 3, 4, 5 years in the future. And so the actual benefit that you're going to get cannot be seen immediately. What you can see immediately is the price that you're being asked to pay. So if I'm buying a 7.5 million villa and now you're asking me to put 20%, I'm seeing 1.5 million on the table for a value that will come a few years in the future. The immediacy effect is the tendency to focus on what is in front of us right now. That's another reason why people will object. I'll stop this podcast here and continue with 2 or 3 more reasons why people object and look at techniques in the next video. I want to thank you for your time with us on this episode of M&A Ambassadors, Becoming the USP, the Ultimate Sales Professional.